Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse Heart Home Sign Part 2. Yesterday we made the back piece, which is this really rustic homemade looking heart with buffalo check. Today we're going to use this wood heart decor piece from the Dollar Tree, as well as white apple barrel craft paint. They do sell some acrylic paint at the Dollar Tree, it's just not great quality. But you can make gray by mixing in some of the Project Craft Paint or black paint from Walmart. And then we're going to use a screwdriver of all things. You can use a flathead or a Phillips head, and I'll show you in a minute, as well as our ruler and a Sharpie. I'm going to use a fine Sharpie as well as an ultra fine. We're also going to need a couple of popsicle sticks as well as the glue gun. And then a piece of fabric or ribbon, however you want to hang it. I just have this really cute little black and white gingham that I wanted to add to this piece. So first thing I'm going to stick in or insert my opinion here. You know, as Dollar Tree crafters, we have always strived to find real wood pieces, and I've watched a few people DIY, just a few people DIY these real wood pieces, and everybody paints them or covers them, which is really kind of ironically funny to me. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and accentuate the wood. We are going to make this look like barn boards, in my opinion anyway. It's just a look that you sometimes see out there in Pinterest DIY world and farmhouse decor, is these different boards of different widths, sizes, and shades all come together to make a sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to mock that. And how we're doing that is we're taking the flathead screwdriver and we're using our ruler, and we're just going back and forth and basically digging a little channel in there. We're digging a little channel just to show the space differentiation between the two boards. Not quite to make paneling, so you don't have to make them as uniform, the gouges. It's supposed to more seem like the boards are pushed together. And we're not making them at the same widths. Now, if you did want to go ahead and simulate any of palette art, then you can go ahead and make them all the same spaces apart, but we're not doing that. So after I've figured out how space I want my boards to spaced out, I went ahead, that was an emery board. And what I've just done was, because of this is balsa wood and it's can be a little splintery and a little fibrous, I just took the emery board and I ran that in the space that I created with the screwdriver, and I used it to sand out the space between the place where we gouged out, because it's the perfect width and it's sandpaper on both sides, and it really just is just a simple little touch like that that helps. The little tips like that is really, I know why you guys keep coming back. So like I said, we are picking some haphazard random pattern, and I just did what I thought aesthetically pleasing for myself. You guys do the same for yourself. If you do, like I said, if you do want them spaced evenly, you can just go ahead and use both sides of your ruler. You can measure out how far apart you want them, whatever looks good to you. For those of you who are new to my channel, I really don't say, hi, this is a DIY, duplicate it. What I like to do is to teach you some techniques and tips and inspiration to get you guys to go ahead and make one of your own, personalized, of your very own. So that's one of the things we're going to do here as well. All right, even though this is going to have some color, we're going to go ahead and whitewash. We're going to create different variations of whitewash and different whitewash techniques, and I'm going to show you the 3 that we'll have. It's going to be 6 different colors or 6 different sections, but I'm going to do white and gray of each technique. Okay? So now that you can see the gouges are all where I want them to be, I picked the ultra fine Sharpie. Now I got this ultra fine Sharpie from Holler for $1, but they do often, not often, but they sometimes do have them at the Dollar Tree as well. And you can use your ruler if you're not confident as well. I'll show you here, but I'm just freehanding it. The ultra fine Sharpie fits right in that groove, and just go slow down the whole crevice and you'll be able to fill in that black line. Now this is not necessary, it just does enhance that space between the boards to make them look a little bit more like separate boards than this is created out of one piece of wood. Okay, it's just those little things, those little touches. Now I'm going to do something in the end that I should do here, and that is take some of the Dollar Tree's carried Elmer's wood filler, and I'm going to go ahead and fill in those hanging holes, but I'm going to do it towards the end. It's actually a stainable wood filler, but it actually is funny because it ends up being almost identical gray to what we painted. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that, okay? So you guys will see when we get to that what I'm talking about. But for the first technique, what we're going to do is we're going to wet the wood first, and I'll show you that there are subtle variations in the three different techniques. So one of them, the first one, like I said, we're going to wet the wood, and then we're going to take an already watered down acrylic paint, and we're going to put it on a watered down napkin. So the paper towel I wet the board with, then I went ahead and I put some watered down acrylic paint in it, and then I went ahead and I went in the same direction as the grain of wood, stayed in the space the best I can. You can use your ruler or any straight edge that you want to keep your color in the same space, but if you have a steady hand, it works out really well. And this is the most subtle variation of this. When you wet your wood, you wet your paper towel, and you wet your paint down, it's very, very, very subtle whitewash. And now I'm doing the same thing with gray. You've guys been around for a while, you've seen that I have gray mixed in a bottle, and it's watered down. It's like, I use it for whitewash a few times. But this is the same thing where we wet the wood, we wet the paper towel, and we used a watered down paint. So the second space, what we're going to do is we're not going to wet the wood. We're going to leave the wood dry, but we're going to use a wet paper towel and watered down paint. Okay? So for the second two spaces, the second technique, for the next two spaces, we're going to do a white and a gray with that technique. Okay? So that's a wet paper towel with watered down paint on dry wood. And for the last two, we're going to do a dry paper towel with the watered down paint on dry wood. And you'll see there's a much deeper tone that you get. Because of course, depending on how much your paint is watered down, how thin your paint is and that kind of stuff, all makes a difference. But I'm showing you the three variations here so that you guys can decide to play around with them and see which one you actually like the best. Which ones do you find appealing? But I wanted to teach you the three techniques just to show you that there is different ways to achieve different looks with the same materials. Okay, just water, paint, and a paper towel. All right. Now I really, like I said, I'm not judging anybody else who covered these with solid paint or who covered them with fabric or whatever, but I was so excited to see real wood hearts like I did with the real wood tree that I really want the wood to come through. I really like the way that looks. The reason that we're so excited to get real wood pieces is so we can stain them and stuff. And we've got more DIYs coming. As you know, you guys know I got lots of stuff coming, but we'll show you that we're actually going to go ahead and stain one tomorrow or the next day. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to go up, but you'll see it. But anyway, so I wanted to show you how the wood grain comes through, and that's really what was appealing to me. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and add that last section. This is going to be a small gray section. This is dry wood, dry paper towel, watered down paint. And you can see how really deep and dark the gray is, even though it is still whitewash. You can see here all of the wood grain coming through. I mean, however much wood grain there is in balsa wood anyway. But again, it shows up a lot better, a lot clearer, more pronounced in real life than it does on camera. So I really liked the second technique. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just add another layer with a dry paper towel once that's dry to that first gray stripe that we did, and as well as the first white stripe that we did. I just wanted it to be a little bit more whitewashed than it was, but still allowing all of that grain of the wood to come through. So it definitely does look like real wood. All right. So now that I'm done, when you're done adding the paint, water does allow the wood to swell up a tiny bit. I'm just taking that same screwdriver, re-enhancing the cracks there, using the emery board if I need to go ahead and sand those spaces in there, and then applying the Sharpie again if need be. And once I have the lines all filled out, you can see how nice it looks. It really is really cute. I really do love the way it came out. So for the next step, we have decided what you want your sign to say. Now, oddly enough, I'm having like senior moments because I had an inspiration. What I really wanted to do with this, we're going to put it on another sign another day, but I forgot. So I was like, oh, home is good. And what I did was I actually wanted to use that pretty farmhouse font. And it's hard for me to look it up while it's on my phone and I'm recording. So I found a Christmas card that I had sitting by my table that actually had some of the farmhouse printing on it. And I was able to go ahead and I found an H and an O and an M and an E. Now they weren't together, but I went ahead and I went and copied them myself. So what I did was I took first a pencil, very lightly with the pencil. I went ahead and I drew roughly where I wanted the letters to be spaced out. We do that because sometimes you start to write big and then you run out of space, or sometimes you overcompensate and start to write small, and then your last letter ends up being 50 miles long. So that's just what we do, is we lay it out with really fine pencil liner first. And because this is a very soft wood, you don't want to press your pencil in there either. You just really want to gently glide it over to get your spacing. And then once I did, I went ahead and I took the inspiration and I really went ahead and I've made these farmhouse letters just the best I could. What's really funny is because this farmhouse, and if you look on Pinterest for fonts, they'll tell you they're handwritten fonts. That's what they call them. They call them, handwriting script tutorials. So these fonts are so irregular that they're supposed to look like they're handwritten. They're not supposed to be perfect. And it's one of those things we always strive for, like, oh, I love this lettering, I love your lettering, but it's not supposed to be perfect. It's not supposed to be, it's just supposed to be handwritten, which is kind of funny and ironic, I think. And I'm just using a Sharpie for this. I did originally want to paint it, but I was like, you know what? The Sharpie will hold up really nice. I won't have to worry about if I mess up on the paint, and it won't take forever to dry. It'll be dry by the time I'm done with the E. It'll all be finished. Okay. So like I said, I'm just copying the letters from the inside of that card. And then I chose it to say home because home is where the heart is, and that's really what I was thinking when I put home on there. And then I wanted to make something that I could keep all year. Even though it is from Valentine's Day decor, I wanted to go ahead and make something that I can keep in my house all year long. Okay? So now I'm just going back with my eraser. This is a white eraser on the back of this mechanical pencil, as to not leave any of that pink residue from a pink eraser. I went ahead and I erased all the lines that were left over that I didn't draw directly over. Okay? And now it's time to take the wood filler. Like I said, this is Elmer's wood filler. It came in 2 types from the Dollar Tree. I think I got them about 6 months ago. They're just one of those closeout items that they get from time to time, but this is totally an unnecessary step as well. It's just something I wanted to do because it was there. And as you could see, it was totally the perfect color. Yep, 100%. I know it looks a little dark right there, but when it dried, you couldn't even see it. And you can see it not, you can hardly see it on the right side at all. Okay? So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to layer them together. Now, this is the part where we get to put the pieces together. Now, my vision for this was to have the home sign be elevated off of the buffalo check. So this is totally an optional step. However, I will tell you, I had a few design ideas. So one thing was, if you didn't want it to be elevated off of it, then you could go ahead and you can actually put art on both sides. You could say, in and out, like if you wanted to hang it on your store kind of thing. You could put home and love, whatever. You just have the options to go ahead and decorate the front and back. But the way we're doing it is I've taken 2 popsicle sticks, glued them together, and then glued the sides of them on 2 parts on the back of the home sign. And we did that just to give little feet for it to rest above the sign. Because like I said, that was the vision I had for it all along. All right. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to make a hanger. So what my design was to make take a ribbon or whatever I was going to do. I was going to attach it to the home portion, the wooden portion of the sign, feed it through the hole on the back, and this way that they would be two free floating, suspended. They aren't really attached to each other. This you do not have to do if you don't want to. You can go ahead and glue them on there if you want to. Again, this is just design ideas, right? So I've done is I've taken just a raw strip of this material. It's probably 9 inches long, and I've just stripped it on both sides so it's frayed on both sides, so it gives that same homemade natural look. Okay, and what I've done is I've taken the two ends and I've used just sort of like a toothpick or a little stick left over from a DIY project, and I've pushed the fabric through the hole. Now you can do that with this fabric because it's very thin, so keep that in mind when you choose whatever you want to have hanging. And then I've created a loop at the top, and again we want the loop to be open when we're looking at it. We don't want to see this side of a piece of fabric, we want to see the edge. So I've just manipulated it around. I've twisted the two fabrics so that they line up perfectly, and once I have it exactly where I want it, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that board underneath the two edges of the fabrics and go ahead and glue it exactly in place where I want it to be. So what I did was I just lifted up the two pieces of fabric. I laid this board, just checking to make sure it wasn't wet anywhere. Laid this board exactly where I want it to land, and now I can go ahead and I can add glue to the two areas exactly where I want them to be. Now keep in mind to try to keep your ribbons glued symmetrically, centered basically on that second piece of wood so it doesn't hang crooked. And then there you have it. Now you could add a bow to the top if you wanted to, but I didn't. So that's it, everybody. I know, it's plain and simple. Seems that way, right? Thank you so much for sticking around for both parts of this. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Anybody you know might be interested in making one part or both parts of these. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye.